Welcome everybody. We're recording a small video with the founder of Biocanic, Jeremy, who is going to go through the company itself, the offering, go a bit into the team and what he's looking to do to give you more of an insight of what they're doing and the offering on hand. We've got our team from KapVista, Layla and Julia, who will be interviewing Jeremy and asking him questions to give you more of an insight into what they're doing. I'll pass it over to the team and we can get started.
Perfect.
Great.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey.
Well, let's start with this. Who better to introduce and give us an overview than Jeremy? So tell us kind of an overview of what Biocanic is, why you started it, kind of the rundown there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Jeremy. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Biocanic. We are a health program intelligence system for functional and integrative medicine. Now, a lot of people aren't familiar with that industry, but it's a really accelerating industry. And this is practitioners who are using the best of Western scientific methods, but really trying to understand the root cause of individual dysfunction, health, and wellness. So this really sits outside of kind of the traditional episodic care that you would think about in the US system. This is really people who are building personalized health and wellness programs based upon broad-based metabolic data. So I personally went through the process, and that's really what inspired us to build Biocanic. My wife was training to be a functional practitioner. I was having health issues that were going the wrong direction, yet I was doing all the right things, right? Everything you're supposed to do, work out, eat less, move more, gluten-free, organic, doing all the juice cleanses and everything else, yet my health markers were going in the wrong direction. So I went through the program. I found what was going wrong with me through broad-based self-assessments, through metabolic testing. We ultimately found the right tools for me. And I lost 40 pounds, feel healthier at 44 than I did at 24 now. But what I found was a highly disjointed, inefficient approach. These practitioners are struggling to really onboard new patients. That's because it takes about 8 hours to onboard and assess and correlate the data from an individual. They've got data in Dropbox. They're doing assessments in PDF or Excel. They're tracking health through the wearables, and it's completely inefficient and full of friction. And so my background is software engineering, but I spent most of my career in the medical device and software as a service world for EMRs. It was one of those things that was like the aha moment came off. Like, look, there has to be a better way, a better technology for this. And so what we built is a health program intelligence system. So we bring all of the data together from the intake process all the way through to improved outcomes for practitioners. We help streamline their onboarding, their assessment process. We save 60% of the normal time that it would take using the existing processes today. We centralize and aggregate. We highlight insights relative to the individual's information. And then, of course, we engage with the client so that they're able to really drive outcomes automatically without having the high administrative burden. And that's really what we do today is a B2B SaaS model for these types of practitioners.
That's great. I was about to ask you that actually what's the story behind it, but you already answered. So let's just jump in. When did you start the company?
Oh, yeah. So we were founded in 2018. In fact, it'll be 3 days and we'll be 3 years old. So we were founded as a Delaware C Corp in the US. We're operating out of California. In 2018, we did a prototype because I had this idea. So we built a prototype. We took it to a trade show, got an incredible response from practitioners. So we started building that fall. We brought the product out in 2019 was our official launch. And then we continued as a free product. And we did that because we wanted to get people using the system. We wanted to understand the pain points of workflows. So a typical agile type of software company, we continuously release new products every 2 weeks. And then in March of 2020 is when we actually converted to a subscription model. So we felt that we had built enough value that it was time to flip over. So we started revenue in March of 2020. We're now 1 year post revenue. We have over 200 paid subscribers, growing MRR, really great response, and really excited about the future ahead of us.
And then in the middle of this, COVID hit. How did it affect your business?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Everybody is a virologist now, right? Across the world, everybody knows about, vaccines and disease progression. In January of 2020, and I remember this very distinctly, I was pitching to a VC and I was talking about immunocompromise, chronic inflammatory stress and what that means. And you could see the guy's eyes roll in the back of his head. He had no idea what he was talking about. Yeah. So yes, we did launch in the middle of a pandemic, but the tailwinds from now, the fact that people really understand, if you think about how the pandemic affected mostly the metabolic unhealthy, everybody understands what it means to be immunocompromised and chronic inflammatory stress as it meant to COVID trajectory. Now everybody's like, wait a minute, Maybe I need to worry about my autoimmune diseases. Maybe I really need to get serious about metabolic health. So we're really excited about the future. It's one of those things, you talk about a startup, which is part luck and part timing. COVID was a terrible event in our civilization's history, but from an industry perspective, this is probably the catalyst that really set it off to really explode.
Right. And I think our society as a whole is gravitating more towards, let's not slap band-aids on things, and let's, actually take the time to get to root causes of our issues, which I think is awesome and a part of integrative medicine. So just wanted to say that. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Part of our channel strategy is we work closely with the training organizations, right? So if you're a board certified nephrologist, right, you went through a training program to get that certification. So in integrative medicine, there's a number of different training programs, and we work very closely with them, obviously, because that's where we find a lot of our good leads for conversion. They've seen a tremendous explosion in their amounts of people that are coming into the system wanting to get trained. One, because people are concerned about their metabolic health, but they feel that this is the answer. This is how we get to a healthier society as a whole. And so the tail, it was already a 20% CAGR type of industry. So it's probably doubled beyond that. And it's really exciting to see where we can go from here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally. And so can you tell us a little bit about the company milestones that you've had thus far?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously the key milestone for us was January of 2020 was getting to GDPR and HIPAA compliant. One, we were really focused on non-licensed practitioners just to kind of build out the system. So that was a big milestone for us, which we hit. Subscription launch was the big milestone in March. And then what we've done is, because we're a B2B SaaS with a land and expand, right? So we want to start with a core product offering and then expand our share of wallet over time. It's a pretty typical approach, but that allows us to create new features and then monetize those new features as we go. So in Q2, we launched our custom assessment builder, which allows practitioners to build their own custom intake forms. Then in Q3, we launched our diet and meal planning integration with a product called Suggestic. That's another add-on. Then we launched our multi-practitioner organization, which allows for multiple practitioners to share in the same patient population. And now we're doing custom website and customization and onboarding. So it's a really cool set of milestones, but we kind of follow the book of the typical B2B SaaS book.
Cool. Let's jump into the founding talk now. How much are you raising at the moment with us?
Yeah, so we're doing a seed round. We're raising $1 million. We have $300K in towards our $1 million goal. So we're actively looking to fill that out. It's been largely coming in under convertible debt. So we have a couple of investors that wanted to be on convertible notes. Others wanted to be on safe. So we're totally flexible when it comes to that approach. And today we're offering a 20% discount on that conversion. Our goal with the use of funds, one, is to continue to execute on our roadmap to expand the share of wallet. So about 60% of that cash will be used towards product development and specifically data science. And then the other side of that is going to be spent on sales and marketing. So today, as I mentioned, we have 200 or over 200 practitioners. Our goal is to get to 1,600 to 2,000 practitioners. That will put us on an MRR run rate on the order of 90 to 100K. That translates to about 100K ARR, which is then we would do a price Series A round. So we believe we can get there by 2022.
All right, awesome. Layla, did you have any other specific questions?
No, I think we can jump to getting to know Jeremy a little bit better.
Okay, this is like a fun little thing me and Layla have for you, Jeremy. So brace yourself. So we have this little fun part towards after the overview. We just like to ask you random questions, see what your answers are. It's meant to be lighthearted and fun, and we get to use these bits and little medias here and there. And people like that, personal approach. And we're real founders are real people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay,
Fire away.
All right. So this one's kind of generic, but we'll start with it. So what's a day in the life of Jeremy?
Okay.
I imagine you're going to say, I wake up at 5 a.m. and I drink a green juice. And then I go for a run, and then I run for 10 miles. And then is it what you're going to tell us?
So I do wake up at 5 a.m.
Okay.
So my responsibility is the animals. So while I'm making coffee, I am a coffee snob. And I'm not only a coffee snob, I'm such a snob that I actually roast my own coffee beans. So I only drink my own coffee because I know where it's sourced from, and it's only organic, single origin from certain countries. So I do
I love it.
which takes time. So I'm feeding the animals while I'm making my own coffee. As my wife likes to call me a pretentious coffee snob. And then I come into my office. So I usually start with email, try to figure out what's going on with the day, prioritize everything. And then again, animal responsibilities, got to take the dog for a walk. So that's my first exercise. Dog walk, try to get a workout in, and then I'm back in the office. And usually it's generally because our practitioners have real businesses, right? So that they're kind of operating and seeing clients in the middle of the day. We have a lot of demos early in the day and then later in the day. And so most of my sales marketing activities kind of exist at those points. And then kind of the operational stuff happens in between. And then in the evening, cooking dinner for myself, because my wife and I refuse to eat on the same schedule during the week. Then we take a dog walk after that. And then we come home, and then we actually have a sauna in the house. And so that is kind of our ritual at the end of the night, not at the same time, because God forbid we would be trapped in a sauna for 20 or 30 minutes. And that's kind of like our routine, and that's the calm down. And I generally try to be off electronics by at least 7:30 at night.
Do you wear your blue light blockers at night? Yes, I was gonna say, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, so as soon as the sun goes down, I switch onto the blue blockers.
Is it an infrared sauna, or is it just
Yeah, it's an infrared.
Oh
We've actually had I've had it for years. I love it.
And my parents just got one, and they're in the Midwest. So I'm like, well, they barely see the sun. So I'm like, you know what? You deserve that infrared sauna. At least I'm in sunny San Diego. So we get some rays there, but it's life-changing. I love it so much.
Yeah. Well, being in the health and wellness industry, I kind of try everything. So I even in fact, I actually I'm doing a direct to consumer, like blood glucose, like food tracking and stuff. So,
I love that.
I try everything. Do
you like the cryotherapy? Do you like the freeze therapy? I love that.
I've done it. I'm not a big fan. I've done float. Not a big fan either.
I guess
A-type to relax that long, and it just becomes a little weird. And then, I do try to meditate, but I only make it about 8.5 minutes.
So sorry, what is this one that you're trying now?
This is a continuous blood glucose monitor. So there's another direct to consumer kind of personalized health. And part of that is you're supposed to do meal logging with your glucose monitor, and they do a gut test and stuff. So, we always want to understand really the technology in the space. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of people making claims that aren't necessarily scientific based, but if there is something that's really promising, we definitely want to know about it. So I always kiddingly like to say I have more self-testing on myself than Dave Asprey, but I run multiple like microbiome tests at the same time to see if all the tests correlate with each other. And so, yeah. And I know when I take a test, because I have such a baseline of data, I know when the test isn't very good because I know what it should look like.
That's funny. Jeremy, what is the biggest challenge in running a startup?
It's funny, having spent most of my life working in the corporate world, the one thing that I really underappreciated that I wish I could go back and thank is everybody that took care of everything I didn't have to worry about. Right. So it's the administrative tasks that, I thought were easy, but somebody took care of it. It's the state filing to hire somebody in a new state. It's the legal contract review. I used to be able to just have, somebody go review it. I've had to learn how to read the legal contracts, understand what I'm looking for. That learning curve, I think, was the hardest part because I thought it was just going to be, hey, like product marketing and sales will come in, but it's all of the kind of G&A stuff that really becomes the stuff that I wasn't really prepared for.
Right. Okay, cool. Let me see. Next one here. Okay, this is kind of fun. Okay, so if you had an extra 4 hours to every day, how would you spend those 4 hours?
So for me, I actually build stuff. So this is actually a new office. So I actually built 60 square feet out of one of our garages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So if you remember the last time we met, I was in the guest bedroom and it was stuff.
Yep.
For me, I do all kinds of crafty stuff. And so generally it's because of my engineering background, it would probably be our building something-ish. I've done I did the desk here. I've done our dining room table. And so it's a bit of the creation side, but more on the artistic front.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You don't need a fake backdrop like me. You just build your own.
Yeah. It was getting a little weird though, because there were so many plants that I had to put the books in.
Yeah. Gotta balance out the plants.
There are too many plants.
Yeah.
Layla,
I
you
have
got the
one last question. What kind of shower ideas do you get?
What kind of what?
Shower ideas?
like when you're
Oh,
in the shower, and like what kind of ideas do you get?
Yeah.
so I'm an A type, so I'm only in the shower as long as I need to be. But I will take that as dog walk ideas, because that's actually you know, in the spirit of there's, you know, you need to take a day off to really think creatively. I would say that the morning dog walk is where I do most of my creative thinking, and largely it's around kind of, you know, one, thinking about what could we do different. Are we going in the right direction? Is there a new way or a new way of approaching, you know, a new channel or a new customer? A lot of times, especially, you know, I came from the corporate world, which is everybody wants to work with you. So people just kind of showed up. Being on the startup side, it's, you know, how do we present ourselves in a way that we can create value? Because we're building an ecosystem and we want our partners to understand what we're trying to do and how it's a win-win for the both of us. And so a lot of times it's really thinking about how do we better position, how do we better approach, how can we create value, how can we work together? So that's a lot of what kind of like the mulling that goes on my 40-minute morning walks with my dog, JJ.
Oh, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
So you don't listen to podcasts.
Exact 40 minutes, not a minute more, not a minute less.
Yeah. Well, so it's yep. Exactly.
He's got the route on path every morning at the same time. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's your active meditation, I would say.
Sorry, I missed that.
That's your active meditation every day is your dog walking.
It's like a walking meditation. I do listen to a lot of podcasts though. So that is
Ooh, give us details. What podcasts do you like?
So of course, Peter Attia is a big one for me. If people aren't familiar with that, he's got a really pragmatic approach and he has really great interviews, really detailed science-based interviews. I do listen to Joe Rogan quite a bit because of Joe Rogan's focus on functional and kind of integrated medicine. It has a lot of great discussions there as well. And then there's a number of kind of, I would call them influencers in the space. And those I don't really pay attention to because it's not really science-based, but it is what our industry is talking about, right? And so really getting to know what's happening, what's the latest craze or supplement or anything like that. So that kind of rounds it out.
Yep. That's awesome. What would your 15-year-old self imagine you'd be doing right now?
You know, it was interesting. When I was 15, I didn't really know. So I've always been interested in health and wellness. So I as a kid had like the Eat to Win, the Zone diet. These are like mid-90s books that are way too old for you guys. But they were super popular at the time. And I've always been fascinated by that. I originally thought I was going to be in exercise science. And so I came to a crossroads in my second year at university where I decided that I wanted to be more technical. My kind of engineering brain was definitely leading that pathway. And so I didn't really know where I wanted to be, but I knew I wanted to be more technical than what would be a traditional athletic personal trainer type. So somehow, I think this was it was maybe Google-ish. It was, it was probably Alta Vista, and I found biomedical engineering, right? So it was the best of the technical space, but also really still focused on human physiology. And I think, my 15-year-old self I would be doing something related to physiology. I just didn't realize it would be so far on the tech side, as to where I landed.
Well, when I was 15, I thought I was going to be a chef. So
yeah,
at least you kind of had similarity along your line there.
Yeah. I thought I would be a teacher. I'm very far away from a teacher.
Well, you teach people in different ways. How about that, Layla?
I do. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, of course. All right. And then could you share with us who your idol is?
Yeah, I mean, sorry. So I would say there's certainly like the kind of potential, like the ideology, the thinking of a Peter Attia type, right? And I think back to when I made the decision of not going to medical school, wondering what my life would be like, because I still am fascinated by medical diagnosis and really helping people and understanding and doing that. I'm happy I'm not in a fee-for-service world, grinding it out with $1 million of debt. I like the creativity and the strategy and the forward thinking of an Elon Musk. But really, I mean, I think, a person that I think about all the time is my grandfather. My dog is named after JJ. And my father, which was really kind of being happy in both achievement, but also understanding the humility and kind of living within, the achievement for your own goals, right? Not necessarily needing the celebrity reinforcement, but being confident, being analytical, and also, really having that close-knit family unit to really help you and push you and support you along the way.
That's awesome. I love that. I know my dad always taught me to be the silent winner. To be the person that is doing a lot in the background and doesn't need to, be showy or this or that or this and that, and then just walk away doing your thing, knowing you're the silent winner.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Good old Midwest dad.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be extroverted in my role. I'm definitely introverted, so I would not want the celebrity, but I kind of appreciate the thinking, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
Cool.
All right. Well, that is pretty much wraps it up, right, Layla? In terms of the questions that we had. Is there anything that you wanted to say or add specifically, Jeremy?
No, I mean, one of the things that, always comes up just from an investor standpoint is, I think about healthcare and health tech. And I also think about consumer and consumer packaged goods and consumer products, right? And so when people think about the opportunity that we're chasing, it's a combination of both health and consumer. So it's hard to really think because you can't put a single lens on it. Right. One of the things that I always like to try to say is, look, this industry exists, right? I have a cupboard full of supplements that are gathering dust. I have a gym membership. I have 5 different wearables. I buy the probiotic yogurt, right? People are making these decisions every day. This market exists. It's just completely wasted. Right? How many friends do you have that have done a diet and it didn't really deliver? How many friends have done all these crazy things and it didn't really deliver the health outcomes that they're looking for?
My friend.
So exactly.
All of our friends.
And so this is not a new market. What it is this market is capturing the wasteful spend and deploying it in a meaningful way at the individual level. That could not be done until the rise of technology. Right. So you couldn't do this 10 years ago, 2 years ago. But now as things are more available, you think about the direct to consumer lab testing companies like the Everly Wells that are, $1 billion valuations, right? This is the wave that's coming. This market, the money is already there. People are already spending the money. Right. And so I think now is really where the action, the timing is right. And I think that's why it's such an exciting area to invest in.
Right.
Perfect.
So Biocanic is raising $1 million with us. If you want more information about their offer and how you can invest, please reach us at Layla at KapVista or Julia at KapVista. We're more than happy to chat.
Thank you, Jeremy, for joining us today. We had the pleasure of being able to talk to you and hear more about what's going on.
Awesome.
That's great.
Thanks.